Hey everyone, this is Walter from iWalter. I have Walt Flanagan next to me, and I just wanted him to say something.
Hey, this is indeed Walt from the Comic Book Men, and you're listening to the iWalter Show.
Faster than a speeding bullet, more powerful than a locomotive, able to leap tall buildings in a single bound. Look, up in the sky! It's a bird brain. It's a plane. It's iWalter. iWalter. Yes, it's iWalter. Strange visitor from another planet who came to Earth with powers and abilities far beyond those of mortal men. iWalter, who can change the course of mighty rivers, bend ears with his annoying voice, and who disguised as Walter Interranti, mild-mannered janitor for a great metropolitan newspaper, fights a never-ending battle for truth, nonsense, and the American way. And now, another exciting episode in the adventures of iWalter.
All right, hey, it's Walter, and I'm actually down in, God, I gotta remember now, I'm like at this hotel. It's actually outside of Blairstown. It's a half an hour away. It's the closest place I could find that actually, why am I in Blairstown, you're going to probably say. And by the way, I had to do this for a while. While I'm trying to remember where I'm staying, I'm going to walk with my mic, because I'm in a hotel right now, extended stay. And it's like not in a normal place. But that beginning was, everybody always tells me, oh, that doesn't even sound like you, Walter, when I say, hey, this is Walt from Comic Book Man, because it's not. So I keep on losing it, by the way. I lose a lot, don't I? But I keep on losing my intro. I keep on deleting them or forget where I put them. So what I end up doing, though, was I had to go back to the main source when I first recorded that. Now, this time what I did, which I should have done a while back, I put that in there to clarify that you noticed that there's actually two Walters. There is Walt Flanagan, who is known from, the View Askew universe and works at the comic book shop and is actually on the Comic Book Men. He is a different person, so that is not me saying, hey, this is Walt. Why would I say this is Walt from Comic Book Men? And it makes no sense. And I tell people this, but they, friends that I know, hold on one second, that I know keep on asking me the same thing. Hey, so Walt, that doesn't even sound like you. It's like, yes, that's Walt Flanagan. He's on Comic Book Men. He also is in a lot of the earlier stuff of Kevin Smith's movies. He might have a cameo here or there, but I just had to clarify this, and I figured this would be the best way. So I apologize. I don't have my normal, I have my normal thing I do my podcast on, which is this HP laptop. I figured I'll just hook that up. I did bring my regular laptop. Now I'm questioning, though, since I will be in Blairstown the next couple days, should I bring my equipment, because I can just put it in my car and lock it up, because I brought all my equipment to do interviews with people if I can get somebody in Blairstown, like mainly these guys who are a fan club group that, basically support and actually give us access every once in a while. If I can, I'll have to see if there's guys, the guy who runs it. It's, it's basically this guy, he does it with his wife and his daughter. He has this fan club for, for people who appreciate the original Friday the 13th and the whole series. Considering the first film was shot in Blairstown, he actually does get access for people when he can to go on to the premises where the campground was. You can't always get it. So this time we did not get, he was unable to get access, so we're not going to be able to go on the campground. But this might actually be better. I'm going down at 6:30. I'm going to say, hey, listen, there's a 6:30 show and a 9:30 show. So maybe when the first show's over, I bring all my equipment. I'll say, hey, dude, can I do an interview with you while the film's running for the second group of people? Because he's going to have like an hour and a half. And I mean, it'd be great to get that long of an interview, but if I can't, I'm sorry about that. I just lost my mic. I have it on this little tripod that these mics come with. They're not the best, but hey, they do the trick. They really do. Sorry, when you know how to use them correctly. Basically, I should be holding the mic. I just don't feel like it. So anyway, I'm staying at this place called Extended Stay. It actually says, Extended Stay, America, Mount Olive Bud Lake. So that's at 71 International Drive, South, Bud Lake in New Jersey. So one thing, the gas is cheaper. That part's really nice. And, I get to spend a little time appreciating. I'm not that far away. Again, it's like 30, 35 minutes to drive over back and forth. And I will do what I always say I will do, is take a swallow. Which people find entertaining, the people I talk to who listen to my show. So anyway, there's that. And then I got my ticket right here for tomorrow, which is actually going to be today because it's only 20 minutes until midnight. For Friday the 13th original movie. It's basically going to be a DVD. I don't think they've stepped it up. I doubt they did. Tomorrow. Now, if I was closer to home, there's some places they're actually doing marathons of all the Friday the 13th around like the Philadelphia area, not so far, and some other things, because apparently they're making a big deal out of the 36th or 37th anniversary. Now, again, I might bring my stuff along tomorrow. I never even thought of that. Maybe after the first film is over, I'll ask the guy, hey, can I even get a plug out of you? Can you do a plug for my show? It would actually be publicity for him if he even gets a handful of listeners, because all I have to do is slap on this podcast is like, hey, Friday the 13th, the people who, bring us this way of coming together and giving us permission to go on the campgrounds. They do a whole setup, like a whole theme with the sign that says Camp Crystal Lake and everything when you get on the campgrounds. This will be actually in Blairstown tomorrow at the movie place called, I'm looking for the names, I can't remember. Oh, Roy's Hall. That's in Blairstown. Now, Blairstown's only a street-long place. The parking is, like, not very good, but they did shoot the entire film there back 37, 36 years ago. So the tickets are still available. You could still, participate if you wanted to go to Blairstown. But it's basically that my ticket says Friday the 13th, the original movie, and I got the 6:30 p.m. show. It cost me $30. It includes a T-shirt, and the money goes towards a donation. I think part of the donations go towards, obviously they go towards Roy's Hall to restore this old movie house, and they actually put live performances on. But also they give money to the campgrounds for those kids. So that's what allows this guy and his family to continue to do this thing, because he only started a few years ago and it was very successful. It actually helped the campgrounds too, because if he did not set up these things, apparently they had an issue constantly where people were basically trespassing on the campgrounds, which is private property, and causing some really big issues. So this kind of alleviated some of those problems now by them being able to just, allow people to, go legally, when the kids aren't there. They're allow them to do the whole thing. And most of what's left is like completely gone, apparently, because like there was some sort of wooden raft in the original film that was in the middle of that lake for that campground. Well, that thing was actually torn apart, I guess probably either rebuilt or something, but the original one had to be taken apart because it basically just started to dry rot. So most of the original wood, they were actually selling pieces of the wood from the original, that time period of the campground being opened. When they were filming, they could buy a piece of the wood. It's kind of ridiculous. I did as a frame, and it had a frame. They had put a photo in. They had taken a really nice one of the campground. It basically says the name of the campground on there, which I don't have with me. It costs like $100, but that's a donation. It actually goes directly towards the kids. of that place. It was something like that. I can't remember. I did that last year. So I'm back once again. I was going to come down tomorrow, and I just figured, you know what, it's too much of a rush. So I added both Thursday and Saturday onto my trip, so I don't have to race back either. Now, I heard it was supposed to rain all day tomorrow and be beautiful on Saturday. Well, guess what? I read the weather report for Blairstown. Now, I got a few photos that I have not put them up. I thought they went up from my cell phone. They did not actually transfer through. They didn't go through, basically. So I'm going to look again. I actually put them on a couple different social media sites. Ones that people have taken themselves a million times. It's just, and I don't actually get my face in these pictures because I'm actually taking the pictures. I wouldn't know how to set up, I haven't done it in such a long time to just do a delay. I forgot my selfie stick. I could have done that, but that looks a little ridiculous too. So let me see. I was trying to put an Instagram in, and I didn't do it right. So I'm going to do it again because I did post some of the pictures from my phone up on Instagram. Unfortunately, I'm not sure. Okay, yeah, they did go up on Instagram. Actually, I got myself in one photo because I got a picture of the Blairstown diner. They have the menu in the window, as my dad would say. So honestly, the photos I'll get from my camera will look a lot sharper than the ones on my phone, but for the most part, it even says Roy's Hall, 5:13 tomorrow. Today, tomorrow's date, May 13th. Friday the 13th, the movie, 6:30 and 9 p.m. showing. So again, I want to see if I can kind of pull those guys aside, and if they wouldn't mind, maybe the guy, it's mainly a guy, his wife, and his daughter, say, hey, you wouldn't mind, maybe you could either, if he can, I'll just try to remember to bring this stuff along. Hopefully I don't get up too late after tonight is over, or tomorrow morning, I should say, Friday morning, which it will be when the show goes up, that I'll have enough energy just to, basically, see if they're doing an interview with me. I hope they would. I really do. I think that'd be really cool. So anyway, so I'll be here all weekend long, and then Monday we have what's called a ratification meeting for my job. We'll see what happens with that. And I'm actually glad I had taken off from work because there's a woman I work with. She was supposed to come over on, Thursday morning, Wednesday night, and she texted me and said, listen, I'm not coming over now. So I said, well, it's a shame. We gave you a pretty remedial task to do, something not too difficult that, you wouldn't be killing yourself. I just thought you were going to come over. And then she said, oh, no, I decided not to come over. It was only going to be for 4 hours. So I told her what the job would have been entailed. It would have been real easy for her to do. It was, basically a simple task to do. And, she didn't come over. And then she texted me today and she said she had an issue with a supervisor that she didn't want to deal with him again. I was like, well, that supervisor wasn't on. So it was her loss because she would have had an easy overtime job to do. It would have only taken a matter of, not even a full 4 hours. She could have taken her time and just got paid for 4 hours to do something that would have taken a matter of like a half an hour tops. So, but that's water under the dam, obviously. But my thing is not about that as much. But I just could feel, I always use that joke. I say, well, my spidey senses tell me they really did this time. It was like, okay, if I would have stuck around and spend even one more day, it would have been aggravating. It was funny because not really, but last night, my father, I come in the door and he says, I spend almost 6 hours the night before or whatever. I spend all night. I was up until early in the morning fixing my dad's. I bought him an iPad. Here I thought it was an iPad 4. It was actually only an iPad 2. Because I remember it was on sale at Walmart for $200. It was like, normally it was $300 for the iPad mini, actually it was. It was like, wow, that's really good. So I kind of figured like, okay, that's not bad. I got it for Christmas. He does use it. He does have some fun with it. He doesn't know really what he's doing, but hey, it was an expensive toy, but at the same time, it wasn't that expensive for an Apple product. So, but it advertised as being the brand new iPad, which would indicate to most people it was an iPad Mini 4. that was on sale because it was only 16 gigs. No, it was actually only an iPad 2, which those are worthless even if they are brand new. They're cheap. So, and they're not worth much because there is so many other ones. So that kind of got me a little mad. But then, he was like the night before he had some problem. I forget because he only has the computer in this iPad thing. He screwed up his computer by trying to log into his bank account, and he assumed that his bank account is part of the OS, the operating system. Like, no, they're two opposite. They're two completely different things. So I ended up spending hours trying to fix all his passwords and getting his operating system to work. And I got it working, but then he had that a little bit screwed up again. But that wasn't the main thing he had screwed up that he was upset about. Because apparently he was in a bad mood for the last couple days. He also screwed up his iPad somehow. And it was like, okay, I'll see if I can fix it for you. But it was like 1 o'clock in the morning I get home. I actually did not go directly home yesterday because actually what I ended up doing was I end up going and get my, there's these car washes you can actually just go through even 1 o'clock in the morning. You can wash your car, self washers or whatever you call it. Like, not that you hose your car, it still does do all the work for you. And it was like $7 for the grandiose car wash. I was like, for $7 I'll do it. It's supposed to clean underneath the undercarriage and everything, which I'm always glad about because you get a lot of dirt flying up on stuff underneath you don't normally hit with a hose by yourself. So for $7 I did that. Then I filled up my gas tank last night. And then I get home and he's still awake, and it was like, yeah, you don't have to do it right now. He does this every time. He did it twice this week to me. Oh, you don't have to do this right now, but yeah, the iPad's all messed up. I can't use it. I can't even get my email. It's like I ask him, do you even use your email? Well, no, I don't use my email, but, when you get a chance, it was like, okay. And it was like I tried to log in. It was one of these things again. He didn't know his passwords, but I wrote it down this time. So when this stuff happens, because when you have Apple devices, you use the same password goes for everything that's affiliated with Apple. Microsoft started doing that too, because that kind of throws me off where you have one device, you have multiple devices that are owned by this, Microsoft or Apple, but all the devices basically communicate with each other in some form of the word. So it's kind of nice. I'm used to it with Apple much more than I am with Microsoft. I mean, it's just been recently I've been using Microsoft products again, and it's basically just the HP Star Wars laptop. Because like I said, if I had the extra cash, I want to get that grandiose laptop. Now, a friend told me at work, he said, it's going to be useless after a couple years. The stuff underneath the laptop's going to be outdated. It's like, well, no, they really haven't changed much on processor speeds or anything else on laptops that much, or even on the PCs, because Intel has no real big competition any longer, so they don't really care. I mean, AMD was their major competitor, but they really have been able to not keep up with Intel, so Intel has not really made anything. The last, I would say, 5 or so years, it continues just to be the i5, the i7, and the i3 was added on as far as Intel Core processors, but there's nothing else that they've made. They've kind of bumped up the speeds. They've kind of tweaked it a little bit, but they haven't gone that far. NVIDIA does kind of, make new graphics cards once in a blue moon, but then they lost their competition, which was AMD, because AMD, well, it is AMD, but I mean, I was going to say, what is that company? They got bought out. AMD bought out the company that made these AMD. I say the AMD again. The processors for Radeon. Radeon. Let's see. It just says AMD anymore, but it was a different company. Let's see if I can figure it out, because I don't even remember. Radeon was originally made by, I think it was ATI was the company, right? if I remember correctly. So AMD bought out ATI just to make APUs, I think they're called, which is GPU slash CPU processors. So ATI was the competition for NVIDIA. NVIDIA doesn't have competition any longer. They do make newer cards. They just recently have announced their newer cards. They're very expensive, like $1,500. But they're not going as far. So the bottom line is you buy a laptop, as long as you don't break it, you're not really that hard on it, you can keep the laptop for probably quite a bit of time. You don't have to worry about it. And plus, I mean, no matter how you look at it, I hate to tell you, I really think that these Star Wars laptops, even if they don't really have much for them to go, that goes for them or whatever, they're going to still be a collector's item. I think years to come, people are going to probably say, well, wait a minute. Oh, wow, you got one of those Star Wars laptops, and even if it's probably not in working order but in decent condition, I would have to say that there's going to be somebody who's like a diehard Star Wars fan who's going to say, God, I would love to buy that off you, buy it off you, or you find out like, oh yeah, if you have one of those, this is just speculation, I realize that, but down the line, I wouldn't be surprised if somebody says, oh wow, if you own one of those Star Wars laptops that HP put out because they were kind of a flop, so to speak, they're now worth X amount of dollars, like, $10,000 or something. I don't know. I'm just guessing at this point. But all I'm trying to basically say is I don't think that it's going to be a total waste of money. Even if it means owning more than one of them, I don't think it's going to be that much of a waste. I mean, it's a lot of money up front, yes. Is it a complete waste of money? I don't really think so. So, that being said, I would probably, it would be safe to say, having an extra one probably would not be a bad idea. So I that's my thing. And, one, I love computers, and I grew up with, the first real science fiction film that I ever got into was Star Wars, honestly. Like, besides Doctor Who. That's a given, though. So that being said, I wouldn't mind having the one so got a little more power, because that would mean also it's probably going to be worth a little bit more money as long as you keep it up in shape. Like the one I own now has got a 2-year warranty. I would do it again in some ways, but in other ways it's like, well, that might be a little bit of waste of money. And actually the grandiose one actually has a touchscreen monitor for a laptop. That's pretty impressive, actually. So, yeah, there's a couple reasons. But when they first came out, they only lasted for so long. Those Star Wars laptops, the grandiose ones were like, let's see if this is even one of them, were like $1,200, which is still not that bad. Now I'm looking at one; it's $959 on Amazon. I'm holding out on doing it right away, but now here, get this. They said they're actually pretty good computers. I mean, they're made a little flimsy. They are very light, though. I'll give them that much credit. But get this. You can get ones for like under $900. I saw one that I have in my basket. I'm just holding off and buying it for $830. I don't know how long it's going to be able to be held on to. And it's actually an Amazon Prime order. So if I ordered it today, I would have it by Tuesday. But it says HP 15T Star Wars Special Edition with the i7 core chip in there, 12 gigs of RAM. You can actually go up to 16 gigs. The 16 gig ones are obviously more money. They're going to be like probably the $1,100, $1,200 ones I was talking about. But what makes them more expensive is because the screen is touchscreen, which actually increases the cost of the price. But I looked everywhere. HP stopped carrying them. They don't no longer, because I got a discount for my job. I get like a hefty discount when I first was going to order my first laptop, which they stopped making them. They don't have anymore. So whatever's been made on the HP laptops are all they're going to make. HP stopped making these special limited edition Star Wars laptops. So that makes them already collector's items, in my opinion. But the ones that are being sold on Amazon, there's a company that's actually souping them up one step further, because these particular laptops, they either came with 8 or 16. Some of them did come with 12. But they had to be custom made from HP. So this one company, I'm trying to look at the name of the company who's selling these on Amazon. I had it up at one point. They're actually selling them with it has 2 gigabytes of memory for just a graphics card, which isn't too bad. You can get more than that. For an on-chip processor, that's pretty impressive, actually. But get this, it gets better yet. It comes with Windows 10, too. I'm trying to look for it right now, which is really impressive. Here we go. 12 gigs of RAM on the one I have on Watch, the order. 12 gigs of RAM, Windows 10, obviously, which isn't that bad. And a 2 terabyte hard drive. Like, by default, all these limited edition Star Wars laptops, including the one I own, actually only come with 1 terabyte hard drives, which a terabyte is an awful fucking lot of room. But yeah, these ones that were special custom made for, that are being sold on Amazon come with 2 terabyte hard drives. So that's really impressive. I mean, these are, and they said they were actually manufactured. These drives are coming right from HP. So, people, when they buy things that, later on will become a collector's item, the first thing they're going to say, okay, was this aftermarket parts that were put in there? Because I was actually thinking of souping the one I do own up just a tad bit by putting in, basically in not an SSD drive. That would be just too expensive. But even a hyper, what do you call it? Not hyper. A hybrid drive, because I actually have a hybrid drive in my Apple laptop, and I do see the difference. I have one of those. I have a 1 terabyte. I think it is. I'm pretty sure, or maybe it's just a regular terabyte drive. I forget. In my PlayStation 4, I put it in myself, and I see the difference in that. And I have in my main computer, my main Mac at home. I absolutely do have. For my main drive, I have 4 drives in the system, or 3 drives in the system. 3 4 terabyte drives. My first one, though, is a hybrid drive. And they say, oh, they're horrible because if the one thing goes, which would be the physical hard drive, not the part that's basically flash memory, you're fucked. And I was like, well, I've had it for a while, and I've honestly had no problems with it. Because what those do, the hybrid drives, you get a little bit of your drive, not much, because it makes it much cheaper that way. A little bit of your drive is actually made up of basically what I call flash memory. That's basically all it is to me. It's a solid state drive. It has no moving parts. So since it's not a lot, anything that you would use on a regular basis, that part is actually put into the solid state part of the drive, the flash part of the drive. And anything else that is going to basically sit for a long time, it figures out, and that goes into basically the slowest part of the hard drive, which is to spin in drives on an hybrid drive. So there you go. That's what it is in a nutshell. So anything you don't use on a regular basis will get put on, the spindles on the drive. Anything that is used on a consistent basis will find itself on the flash part of the memory. It also is for the boot up part, because usually your boot up time, anything that that's obviously used constantly, because turning it on and then turning it off takes basically the longest period of time. So that's actually stored on that part of these hybrid drives. Now, my startup time on my Mac is a bit slow, but once it starts up, it does pick up speed, because the speed is anything I do all the time. If it's like checking web links out or running certain programs, they're going to be placed on that hybrid drive, on the solid state part of that drive, and the access time is incredibly fast. So, but the bottom line is, I look at it, if you even use the old-fashioned conventional hard drives that have spindles in there, which they're not that bad. Their shelf life is actually pretty generous. There's nothing that, like, after a while, I'll save things for years, and I forget what even I'm saving. So they say, well, certain flash drives may only last up to, 5 or 10 years. Hard drives may only last up to 5 or 10 years before they physically just basically stop working. It's like, well, you know what? I've had that happen even after 3 years where hard drives just basically died. And I always that's the one thing you can do. I make like extra backup drives of my main drive for that, purpose. If a drive dies, I can just basically back it, take all the information off a backup drive, which is basically never used, and then just restore whatever I want off of that. But quite honestly, I've lost one when I first started making my new system up for my Mac. It was the cheese grater. I actually lost, within a short period of time, I lost 3. They were either 3 or 4 terabyte hard drives. 3 of them died one by one. They just end up dying. For what reason? There might have been some defects in the drives to begin with, but because they weren't even that old. They were a couple years old. But you know what? Quite honestly, the stuff that I lost, I don't even know what it was, and I really could care less. So that means a lot, too. But again, what I did was I made sure that I had, on Mac, which is perfect, they have this thing called Time Machine, and that actually had made images of everything, no matter how minute or frivolous it was backed up in Time Machine. You just had to dig through it to find it. And if it wasn't that, I also made images of certain programs. I just wanted to make sure they would not kind of like, if something happened, I could still access them. Because I remember at one point I had like all of the Tom Baker episodes of Doctor Who, and I didn't even realize because they were on this one of the 3 hard drives that had died, not realizing that Time Machine and I myself had backed up these files. It was pretty hefty amount of space. So I remember at one point I started pulling them off. It's like, wow, they still work. They're perfect. So, that's a different story that I went off and way too far. That's not why I'm in outside of Blairstown, just to talk about my machine. I just wanted to explain a little bit, try to take up a little time. Now, saying that, I should see where I'm at. I'm actually only at 32 minutes, so hey, this is great. I think the show will be less than an hour tonight, which for most people they'll be happy about, because my shows do go on way too long, generally like 2 or 3 hours. So, again, I mentioned I'm hoping maybe tomorrow I should try to pack up some of my, my laptop equipment, my mics, the amp. I'm trying to give myself an idea what I need to bring along. And, the 2 laptops, in case one works, I have a fail-safe system in case I have the problem with the sound again, quality, which I did when I did a, on-the-road interview. And what else? My amp, my cables for my mics, obviously, and my one headset. Now, I only brought one headset. Normally, I bring 2, so that the person that I'm interviewing can actually hear themselves as well. Most of the time, people don't like wearing headsets, so that's fine. As long as I'm wearing one, I'm good with that, because I can hear to make sure the levels are properly being dispersed onto my recordings. So that's why I need to wear them. Anyway, it was kind of funny. On a lighter note, before I go into maybe just a little bit, and I will try to put up my pictures. They will probably be on Facebook tonight. In addition to that, I need to pull the picture so I can also use one for maybe just as a cover page or whatever you want to call it for my show tonight. But anyhow, I found some good news out tonight. I was kind of actually pleased about, because they haven't said much, but they've been going back and forth, getting people a little worried about the show Supergirl. Apparently, what was it? They kept on saying that Supergirl may not be renewed for a second season, blah, blah, blah. So what they ended up doing was they said was on Supergirl TV, it's a fan page, they actually said, yeah, they are going to renew it for a second season. This actually would be a proper home for it. Because for some reason, I think why they're having some difficulties, why they had a difficulty renewing it, Supergirl, was because it was on, I think, CBS or something like that. So, it says it was on CBS, but it's going to be moving either over to the CW. It's going to move over, not maybe. No, it is going to move over to the CW, EW, and they said that has been confirmed. So that's good news, basically, that they're going to move Supergirl over. And that's where all the other shows are that are superhero shows. They're already on the CW. So it only makes sense why wasn't Supergirl there in the first place. And I would assume that I think it's owned all by the same umbrella, network umbrella. But the CW is more focused on shows that are, Flash, Green Lantern, or no, not Green Lantern, Green Arrow, and some other shows. So it only makes sense that that would be the proper home to have it to begin with. So I didn't hear any disruption in that sound quality. So, yeah, I'm kind of was psyched about reading about that, so I figured I'd just kind of throw that in there. Facebook-wise, I really don't have much because that's not what my whole thing was about tonight. I did post a couple articles. I wanted to post some pictures, but being in Blairstown this afternoon, even though I got down here late, it was like the perfect time to take some pictures. Unfortunately, one place I like to visit, I won't be able to take pictures this weekend is of the cemetery. So, and I actually kind of intentionally had taken pictures for the one friend, Derek, because I know he's a big fan of, he's a big fan of like these horror movies and stuff. He'd probably be happy to see them in Blairstown, because I think he would pick up on it knowing the movies and stuff. At least the original one was done in Blairstown and outside of Blairstown. But there's a cemetery that was like in one single shot of the movie, and that single shot is the cemetery shot where this girl walks by the cemetery. That became like a nostalgic thing too, the cemetery. But unfortunately now, apparently tomorrow and Saturday, it's going to be raining all day. Now, I'll be here if I want to. I can stay until Sunday. I got to leave by 11. If it was better that day, if I decide to just go home that direction, I could just take pictures on the way, home. Because I've done that before. I've actually drove over to, right before I left, I drove over to Hope, Jersey, snapped a couple pictures, and right from there, I just went straight home. So I'll have to decide what I want to do. I'm not quite sure yet. It hasn't changed. It's a cemetery. Like most of the landmarks, they haven't changed that much at all. So tomorrow will be the make or break of me. At least I came for the sole purpose of celebrating Friday the 13th. Now, unfortunately, though, folks, this weekend I did get a couple phone calls. I left them on my answer, on my cell phone. They're generic phone calls that get sent out to people asking me, hey, you're going to go to the comic book convention down in Atlantic City. Well, it's like, well, I'm in Jersey, but I'm in a totally different part of New Jersey. New Jersey, in my opinion, is a very big state. Bigger than I could imagine. So it's like saying I'm in Pennsylvania and I live in, the King of Prussia area. Hey, but we're having a convention in Allentown would be actually really close. I'm trying to think. Pittsburgh. Oh, yeah, I'm going to go to Pittsburgh from King of Prussia. Yeah, I have 4 hours to kill to go drive up to Pittsburgh. It's either 4 or 5 hours, I forget. So you get my drift. It's like that. Like it's comparing me going from Blairstown to Atlantic City is like me going from King of Prussia to Pittsburgh. It's like, no, it's not going to happen. I'm not even close to Red Bank. Red Bank was actually closer to New York. It's funny, when I came over to Blairstown, which you actually go through near the Pocono Mountains, the funny thing was I always saw this stuff that said, this way you can head to Philadelphia. It's like you're not even remotely close to Philadelphia as far as I'm concerned from where I am in New Jersey. I mean, maybe it is, but it's not that close. It's still at least 2 hours away. So, in my opinion, I don't know. So I just find it funny when I say, oh, yeah, this direction. I know what they're trying to say if you want to go towards Philadelphia, but it's like you can be in East Bumblefuck and or say, okay, well, here's directions to Philadelphia and King of Prussia. It's like, yeah, neither one of them are that close to wherever you're at, but they make it sound like it's closer than it really is. That's what I find entertaining. So again, I guess just wish me luck for tomorrow for one thing. I said it was going to be a short show. Now, I'm not done yet, but I'm just saying it's going to be a short show. Yeah, it's going to. But what was I going to say? That maybe I could try to get something. I figure I'd just do something really quick because I have my equipment with me to do podcasts, and it's just I don't have any sources of information as far as articles. Because quite honestly, I didn't bother to check it out. I really did not. So I figured, since I have it, I will use it. And I'm looking through right now. Maybe there's something I could look at and, talk about, but there really is not much. Again, there's some locations. You can actually check. If I look at my email, I'll have to do that. I probably just don't have the time right now. They will give you basically the layout of places you want to look for Friday the 13th. I can try to do a quick look since I don't have any stories. That reminds me, I actually brought it along with me too, by the way. But I got in the mail, I actually bought 2 different versions, copies, hard copies of the film of Deadpool. So the one I was supposed to pick up at Best Buy around my house, I did not. It was called the Steel Book version. I never picked it up. But most likely, if you don't pick it up within a matter of days, they put it back on the shelf, and then they end up disappearing because, like Deadpool and stuff, people will probably buy it and then end up reselling it on eBay. I got it for $20. But they will turn around and resell it on eBay for like $60. So it's kind of ridiculous. But then I bought one that came with postcards of Deadpool. It was a limited special edition from Target. So this time I did that kind of with Star Wars. I bought different copies of the movie, even though the movie's exactly the same, just for the extra stuff. So let me see if I can find the Friday the 13th filming locations. Give a little bit more to the show. And I can use that for material for tomorrow's show, too. Filming this show, filming the movie. So, it's a shame they said, I think I mentioned this before, we're going to make a TV series called Friday the 13th, and that actually is not going to go through now. Filming no locations for Friday the 13th. Let's see. Okay, here we go, because I actually did. It's called Camp Nabisco or something. 11 Sands Pond Road, Blairstown, New Jersey, which, again, I'm a half an hour right now from Blairstown. Blairstown Diner, which I was willing to eat at today. I'll probably be there tomorrow. I did put it on my Facebook that I did go to the location. Freehold, New Jersey. I didn't end the film. I didn't realize that. Freehold. I think I passed that. Hardwick Township, New Jersey. So they shot a lot of places, but the main places that people know that were Blairstown was what was known as Camp Crystal Lake. And basically that diner was a big thing. People go to that diner from all around the world. They literally go to Blairstown. The first place they want to check out, this is no joke, it's the diner. So, and the food is actually really good there. And then Hope, New Jersey is where the cemetery is. So, yeah, Hope, New Jersey is actually right next door to Blairstown. So, you just have to look for the Hope, New Jersey cemetery. So, and it says, basically Blairstown is the main center focus of the first film. everything was shot within around that area. Not like certain shots, they made them look like the town was much bigger than it was, but it really was not that big of a town to begin with. So I think, obviously the first film, everything is reflected upon Camp Crystal Lake, blah, 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 Blairstown. I have to thank my friend Todd, because if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't even have known that existed. Blairstown. I thought there was really a place called where Camp Crystal Lake actually did exist. I didn't realize that was just a town. I'm trying to look for, what do you call it? Maybe I can, websites, stories, discussions, film, and locations. But yeah, you can just put in Friday the 13th and film and locations. Yeah, Blairstown, New Jersey, Hope. And Hope. Hope actually only had the one part. And by the way, if you're like me, I asked the last time, there was a gas station in the original film where it is no longer a gas station, by the way. It's actually a car wash. Because I had to ask, I said, yeah, where's that gas station that was in the movie? And they said, well, it doesn't exist anymore. I actually asked the owners, the new owners, and they said, no, that's actually that's now a car wash. Yeah, people put up the Blairstown Diner, and I guess people who had visited got permission to go on the campgrounds. They got pictures of that up, too. There's been a lot of changes once again because, it was a private, again, organization. I'm trying to look again because that one picture must have been taken before it was because I see the road sign too, and I recognize the road, but Blairstown, New Jersey, and Hope, New Jersey, some shop on a corner. I think I might have passed that today, but the way I understood, there was a gas station once again in the original movie that the girl walks by or something like that. Oh yeah, and I took a picture of this drugstore. Well, actually, the drugstore in the original film was a five and dime store, or a grocery market. And what that basically was, the girl goes in to ask for a ride. They made it. Actually, it wasn't a grocery market. I apologize. Actually, it might have been, but it was a five and dime as well, where the girl goes in and asks to hitch a ride from somebody. And, it was like basically an old drugstore kind of setting where you could get food as well or something like that. But it was like a little restaurant. So they combined different places and, indoor shots were shot differently than outdoor shots. Like the outdoor shot showed one thing, the indoor shot showed another thing. So, yeah, it was interesting. So it's a little confusing. Again, you're talking like 36 years ago when they first, made that film. 36, 37 years ago. So, yeah, 1980. Wish I had a calculator on my... Let's see if I can find one. Because it said 1980 is when it actually came out. I wish I could... Okay, here we go. Calculator. So I'm running my Windows desktop, so I'm not as familiar with that as my PC laptop. It's weird. It's not opening up, though. See if I can get one online. Usually that works, too. Calculator. Okay, so it is 2016. And I should be able to do this in my head, I know. 1980. Yeah, it is. It's actually, this is 36 years now. To me, that's like nothing special, but for some reason, everybody's making it into a big deal. Oh, well, 36 years. Wow. Well, I would think it would be more impressive when it hits 40 years or 50 years. Since the film came out. But for some reason this year they're really making a big deal out of, maybe they don't have nothing else to go by, so they're making Friday the 13th like being on its 36th year. I was like, what's that mean? 36 years doesn't mean much to me, honestly. So but like I mentioned, I'm going to try to I'm going to try to see, because if I could actually, I might help those guys out, that guy who does this. I keep on saying guys. The guy who established this whole thing at this campground. I'm going to see if I can find that, too. I'm sure he would appreciate it. It's not going to give him much help, but it would definitely give me a lot of help. So let's see if I can find it. I should even just look on the ticket itself. No, there's nothing actually on there. So let's see if I can find Blairstown. Friday 13th. Friday. I might not be able to find anything, folks, so I just figure I could kind of gear you in the right direction. And if not, I apologize. Okay. Yeah, basically it says Camp No Be Busco. Friday the 13th, camp tour event. So once you sign up for this thing, they're going to keep you on file like for any upcoming events. And when they can actually go on to Camp No Be Busco. It's kind of weird. I guess I'm saying it right. I'm saying it slower so I can just, say it correctly. But it says get your tickets today, avoid disappointment. I don't think they're going to sell out. They're actually really wishful thinking on their part. They think that's going to actually do. But yeah, the camp tour grounds obviously this summer. And it's going to be raining all weekend, which I don't know what those kids are going to do in the rain. But souvenir. The website, they have an official website for the tours, and it goes by. I'll just spell it out. It's Camp NO-BE-BO-SCO. This is just going to take place in Blairstown itself. That's why it's going to be easy for me to at least try to ask. For whatever, for a podcast or at least maybe a plug of some sort. So I'm going to click on, maybe that'll bring me to the proper place for the souvenir shop. No, actually, it just goes by the campgrounds, the kids' campground. But the souvenirs, they're very pricey. The donation, you're giving a donation for the kids. Because the most expensive donation is $500. And, you're paying like $125 for a piece of log from one of the trees they cut down. Or a piece of the original, wooden raft or whatever was in the middle during the movie time. They're charging you $40 for a piece of dice that were carved out of the remains of, what was there during the filming time. It's obviously very, very expensive, but you're giving your money towards the campgrounds as well. They're actually charging you now for, if you want a tour photo, it's like $8. It's like, yeah, well, that'd be pretty cool, but I'm not in there. A tour for Camp Crystal Lake, they're charging $8. Again, it's all donations if you're actually doing it. Yeah, it was a lake photo that I bought. That was $75. It was a little steep. I thought it was $100. It's still kind of not very good. It's pretty pricey. Now, this guy, he'll bring this stuff along if you want to buy anything. He always brings some stuff along. Souvenirs, and actually T-shirts, too. He always takes T-shirts, say Camp Crystal Lake on there or something. The dice actually look pretty cool, even though they're pretty pricey. They're $40. They look kind of cool, though, because they're made out of the wood. You're made out of, wood. It's kind of weird looking. Never in the film, though, but the only thing was that film that I remember, I've seen it a million times, is they were playing Monopoly. It was just a regular Monopoly game, so I don't know. But, hey, they're making money just to try to keep this whole thing going, I guess, too. If you have the extra cash and you don't mind wasting it, there's a place you can go. And by the way, it is after midnight now, so it is officially Friday the 13th at this point. So, yeah, you can find it. Basically, just put in first Friday the 13th. Even just put in for, excuse me. I'm trying to look at the name again, Roy's Hall, and that probably will take you to the link that you can find out. Now, all you have to really do is you just got to sign up for the, get on their mailing list, because I am, and I kind of participate in this stuff because eventually I'll be pushed probably, making face value with this guy who runs this thing, who can get access to the campgrounds where they shot the original film. Eventually, what's going to happen, I'm hoping, is he's going to say, "Hey, listen, I'm going to kind of push you to the top of the list on if you want to do do the next tour." The tours actually aren't that expensive. It's an all-day thing. You gotta there. I would have to do what I'm doing now and stay at like a hotel outside of town, because there's nothing inside of town because it is very, very small. It's mostly all wooded areas. There is absolutely nowhere you can, get a hotel room around there, for one thing. Closest is like what I did, like a half an hour away. And that's better, depending where you live, than driving further away. So, but yeah, once you sign up for, okay, because we've done stuff like this for Penhurst, me and a friend and his brother, my friend Todd, but it says all tickets priced at $100. So if you're really into the show, you'll want to get on the campgrounds, because otherwise you will not be able to get on these campgrounds. You're a big Friday the 13th fan. They say the people in the town, when I was in this bar tonight, I'll have to put up pictures where that bar was I ate tonight, because I can't remember the name. This one woman that works at this bar, she said, "Oh yeah, you'll see people walk up and down the streets with Friday the 13th masks on." And it's not only just for during that time, when it is a Friday the 13th. You get that all the time, because, even the younger generation growing up who were not born during the making of that film are finding out about these horror movies known as Friday the 13th, which are all based upon Camp Crystal Lake, which is based upon they made it a fictional place, which is a real town, which is Blairstown. So everything, stems from basically from this one place in Blairstown. So all those movies, when they talk about Jason Voorhees, Camp Crystal Lake, they are literally they're basically talking about this town that I'm right next door to right now, just to give you a heads up. So everything starts here. So it's that alone is very, very cool. Trying to close down on my extra pages. So yeah. And it's just fun. It's pretty cool. It's just very tiny. It's a very small town. I mean, it's like in a bubble almost, in my opinion. This town is just it's like a little area in the middle of nowhere. Like literally, it reminds me of like one of those snow globes without the snow, because that's how isolated this is. It's like in its own little area. I know that didn't make any sense what I just said. So anyway, I can barely stretch this to an hour tonight, folks. So I apologize, but this is good because most of the time it's me complaining, or basically I find some really goofy stories. I could tell you some stories. I actually coming back, it was pitch dark. I'm coming back to where I'm staying in this hotel, and it was not really funny. I have to look it up again. I have the paper right in front of me this time, at least. Bud Lake, which is very close, but I'm taking all these back roads before you get onto like a major, I think it's Interstate 80 or something like that, I think is to where you go, 80 or 85. I thought it's Interstate 80. And I got these, one car comes up behind me, and he's like almost keeping up with me, and I'm like trying to be really careful because these roads are really windy. They are very wooded. You really almost would expect Jason Voorhees to step out because it was that creepy, that dark. And this person is just trying to keep up. And he's like, you know what? If I make one wrong turn, I'm going to be basically asphalt. I'm going to be part of the asphalt or part of the woods because it is very dangerous. It's not meant for high-speed driving. And I was just to get away from this person. And everywhere I was turning, no matter which direction I turned, this person was right on me. So then I end up, I guess, again, I'm not quite sure, it was Interstate 80 or 85. And this person, Interstate 80 is a really big highway. It has, I think, at least 3 to 4 lanes on both sides. And both sides, that being said, people are flying. I mean, it's like the Autobahn in Germany. So I had this same person who was following me catch up to me again and was almost like trying to pass me, not on the 3 lanes on the side of us, because I was actually on the slow lane. No, they were trying to pass me on the shoulder. Okay, there's 3 lanes on the left-hand side of us, but you got to try to come up and creep up on me and try to pass me on the shoulder. I finally got to the point, I was like, listen, dude, there's 3 lanes to the left of us. I'm going to take one of those 3 lanes, and I'm leaving you the fuck behind because you are really scaring me. I don't know if it was a guy or a girl. It just really scared the fuck out of me. So I dealt with this person all the way down. It was like, wow. And these wooded areas, the worst thing they ever came up with, turning on red is bad enough. Yeah, you can make legal turns on red, make right-hand turns. The worst part is those broken yellow lines, because anybody who sees those, I don't care if they're going like 5 miles an hour. When they see a broken yellow line, that gives them, in their mind, hey, I better go past this guy because I can now. So they speed up to pass you, but you know why they pass you? So they can go real slow again. So then it becomes a cat and mouse game where, they might pass you and get in front of you and go like 15 miles an hour again. Then you try to pass them, and it just goes back and forth. So I try to avoid situations like that when I can. Unfortunately, it's not always that easy. So that was that did not happen, by the way, but with the passing part. But that's what people's incentive are. If they see broken yellow lines right away, it's like it's a game to them. Let's see how far I can push this dude before I get myself killed or both of us killed for me just being a total moron. I can't deal with that with people. So that's the one thing I hate about these back redneck roads, so to speak. I don't know. The town is actually pretty cool, but like I said, it's literally in the middle of nowhere. And you can walk the town in less than 5 minutes, not even 3 minutes. Because, you walk from one part of the road to the other part, you walk through Blairstown. That's how big it is. And there's really nothing else around Blairstown. There's like a beverage place across from the diner, a gas station. But is there anything else? No, there isn't. Maybe a couple housing developments that are stretched far away from Blairstown. And then I think there's a park somewhere not too far away. It's actually separate from the Boy Scouts thing that goes on. So it's cool, and I do it. This is my 3rd time of staying in or outside the outskirts of Blairstown. This is the 3rd time I've done this. And it was funny when she mentioned about the hockey mask. I actually special ordered one of the Jason masks I wanted to buy, the blue one. And the funny thing was, though, I didn't get it yet, for one thing. But, there was another thing, too, though. I actually wanted to bring a hockey mask, one of the Jason. I have a couple different Jason Voorhees masks, because that's like the whole nostalgic thing. You're in Blairstown, you bring your hockey mask. Or, I brought like this Old Navy T-shirt they had limited edition. It was like $5 on clearance, and they actually had more than one. I only bought the one, and it just because that way you're going to take more care of it, better care of. You buy more than one, you end up like saying, "Oh, I won't wear these at all anymore." When you have one, it's like I got to hold on to this like it's gold. But a Friday the 13th T-shirt, with the Jason Voorhees mask on there, so I brought that along. That's my only nostalgic thing I brought. I have other things, but I figured, I'm wearing that tomorrow all day for, celebration of Friday the 13th. Fortunately, I'm going to miss out on the comic book convention in Atlantic City because I can't be in 2 places at one time. I'm also going to miss out on other things, but I can at least say, hey, I'm staying around will be in Blairstown for the next couple days. Unfortunately, it's also going to be very rainy as well, so that's the downfall. So anyway, folks, I don't have really much more to say. I could barely push it over an hour. I'm not trying to say I'm milking my podcast, and I really am not. I just wanted to let people know where I'm at, and I will put up some pictures that did not go through. Blairstown has the worst reception, like, on your cell phone service. You don't get any with T-Mobile. You get barely anything with Verizon. If you actually go to the campgrounds where they shot the movie, if you get lost, if you don't know your set, you don't have any sense of direction, you're really fucked, because you will not get your GPS to work at all. Like a regular GPS or the one on your phone, forget it. It won't work, because trust me and my friend have done it, a couple times now. We know for a fact that's the case. There is really no cell phone towers within. In Blairstown, there's some areas, but there's some very dead spots also around Blairstown and in Blairstown itself. Not as bad as where the campground is. So anyway, again, this is Walter from iWalter. It is Friday the 13th officially now. I'll see what I can do as far as a podcast. If not, I can at least say I would have tried. So thanks again. If you listen to me and you enjoy what I talk about, definitely, like my friends would say, Matt, try to get other people to listen in and say, hey, this guy's really cool. Otherwise, maybe it's not your cup of tea. Maybe it's not your type of show. But you can probably maybe think of somebody else who would like listen in to me and say, you know what? You can tell your friend, it's not what I would call like a great show, but you might like it. Try to get other people to check it out for that purpose too, if that makes any sense. Because I know I've said in the past, well, if you don't like it, try to get other people to listen, which makes no sense. But it does kind of make a little sense in the way of, well, there's certain things that I know I don't enjoy, like in movies or other things. But then there might be somebody else who I know, like, well, this is not my taste in film work or something, but you might know that person that you say, hey, I don't really particularly like this, but I think you would. You know what I mean? So it's the same thing with my podcast. Maybe it's not something that everybody likes, but somebody else, one man's heaven is another man's hell, so to speak. So anyway, thanks again. I don't mean to be babbling on. I'm truly not trying to milk. Trust me, it's only a little over an hour. So again, thanks if you do listen in. I do appreciate that. Actually, I should say, because it's not many times I can do this, so again, I'm not trying to milk the show, but I will look now. I was actually getting some really interesting locations for listeners. Now, you're talking maybe one. I think I got a couple hundred. I combined them all together of listeners. I got a couple hundred in the last week or so. So that's not that bad for me. Geographically, though, obviously most of my listener base is in the United States, but, some of them stay in there for a while before they drop off the face of the map. But I got France, Poland, Vietnam, Canada, and I said it before, but Croatia is still hanging in there, by a thread. But I do have somebody from Croatia who actually is still on the list. So that's pretty good. Now, obviously, if I listen to my show, which I will tomorrow, the one I'm doing now, I'll probably get Blairstown on the mix now, which probably won't hurt, because maybe to get other people to say, hey, there's some guy listening to this show from Blairstown. What is this he's listening to? I hope that it's the case. But right now it says Coatesville, PA, Woodbridge, New Jersey, Telford, PA, Philadelphia, PA, Allentown, PA. These are all where people are listening from. Mountain View, California, Montgomery, PA, Lansdowne, PA, Glen Olden, PA, and Moonsea, PA. I'm not sure where that is, because the one friend at work listens. She says she actually lives in Solderton. Did you get a Solderton location? It was like, no, I'm afraid I didn't. But see how it works. where your provider, your internet provider might be connecting to may not necessarily be where you live. So that's why that works that way, in case she listens in, just so she'll understand why I didn't read off where she lives. And that was that way the other day, too, with some of these locations. So, yeah, I probably won't do that tonight. I'll probably deliver. Well, I will tomorrow. We'll listen once I put it up. Listen to my show. I actually paid, I think it's like $3 a day. You can get, they give you free broadband, but they're going to kind of limit how much you can take. So for like an extra $3 a day, I signed up for the week, which I'm only here for a couple days. It was cheaper that way, though, because I weighed out, okay, what am I going to be paying for 3 days? Well, I'll be paying like $12 for 15. You can have it that it's not going to shut down. If I decide to stay an extra day, it'll pay for itself, for the internet. But you get the higher. I've done this before because if you go by what the hotel gives you, they cut you off after a while. It gets like dog crap slow. So if you want to maintain a steady speed, the best way to do that is actually just pay the extra $3 a night. And it's like $15. So I don't care. So anyway, I am signing off now, though, folks. And I just want to say thank you so much if you do listen to me. I do want to thank these other countries, even though it may be just, I assume, one person. Hey, that one person who's listened to me, thank you, man, or madam, for listening to me. I really appreciate it. It's so cool to have some people from other countries that actually are somehow, maybe accidentally, but they are still tuning in. So thanks again. This is iWalter, or I should say, this is Walter from iWalter. I am actually, again, I am signing off for now. So once again, thanks so much for listening to my show.